You don't think that the politicians have made it a tad difficult for the security agencies? Let's cite certain instances. First of all, yes, you talked about the governor, asking that specific individuals in the police force be redeployed from the state for what they term, misconduct they allege. At least that's what the River State government alleges. But then when the governor takes to the streets to protest, takes a protest to the police itself physically, you don't think that even that could, could have degenerated, for instance? That's on one hand. On the other hand, when you look at the allegations, trailing the conduct of the rerun elections, and then subsequently the police saying, well, we're going to conduct our investigation, and the River State government saying, well, we'll have nothing to do with that investigation, and they set up their own parallel investigation. How do you think that works for cooperation within the state?
Well, concerning the governor, leading a protest, we need to recognize that we are not slaves in this country. We are citizens, and so we have rights. And when we suspect or when we perceive that those rights are violated, we have a right to protest. And who better to lead such a protest than the governor of the state? I joined along with thousands of other Rivers people to protest what we consider to be unconstitutional behavior of the joint security forces. And so we made that very clear. We led the protest. We went physically to the gates of force headquarters in Port Harcourt and handed a petition against certain individuals within the security forces. So that's within our constitutional right to do. I mean, we have a right as citizens to make our views very clear. Concerning the commission of inquiry, you see, as governor of a state, the governor has a responsibility to protect lives and properties. And so we found during the last rerun supplementary elections that, a lot of things happened. We've seen video evidence, audiovisual content of police officers running away with electoral materials. We saw, according to footage shown by your own cameraman, channels correspondents in Port Harcourt, filming an electoral process, and all of a sudden police officials emerge at the collation center, beat up party officials, attempt to gerrymander the electoral process. We have a constitutional responsibility to inquire about how this could be. And so this is not a matter for debate at all. We have a responsibility to give account. Some people were even killed. We want to examine exactly, what were the circumstances that led to the deaths of these individuals. Why we are, police people, sometimes the military, cutting away electoral materials. Enyota, for instance, let me make this point. For instance, that there are Supreme Court judgments that manifestly forbid the military, from injecting themselves in our electoral process. And so when we see those kind of things, we want to investigate and make sure we bring it to public attention. The Commission of Inquiry in Rivers State will hold public hearings. Members of the public will produce evidence. They will come and testify. And at the end of the day, at the end of 1 month, we will receive the report and we'll know what to do from that point.
What if this Commission of Inquiry finds you culpable? Would you take responsibility for your contributions to the mayhem or the situation as it is?
Yeah, we can't anticipate in advance, what the findings of the commission will be. But we have a responsibility to give account, of what happened on the 10th of December. It was a very disgraceful thing. I mean, we just wanted to hold elections. These were local elections, River State elections, into legislative offices, both in the National Assembly and there in Port Harcourt. This was River State business. But we had over 20 gunboats deployed. We had over nearly 30,000 policemen deployed. We had aircrafts, all over the place. We had a very militarized situation in River State. We had, before the elections, 2 days days to the elections, about 11 APC governors, including the governor of Kano State, who came and openly incited violence right there in Port Harcourt. You know, did they charge the environment enough to warrant this kind of violence that characterized the elections on the 10th of December? It's up to the Commission of Inquiry to find out, and when they find out, we are going to swing into action immediately.
The question I asked you is, would you also take responsibility for the role you played to the build-up of all of this? Because for the other party to do what they did, there is something that you're doing. There are two sides to every coin. So would you also be looking at your own side, or would you let an independent body look at the role you also played?
No, there are no sides to this. What we have done is, you know, we have received so many reports. And so what we have done is, this is not a matter about PDP or APC, because, you know, frankly, once you get into government, you are no longer serving the APC or you're no longer serving the PDP. As a government, you serve everyone. And so we have set up this Commission of Inquiry to investigate what happened. We don't know what sides, you know, they should take. What we want are just the facts supported, you know, by evidence. And so, you know, at the end of the day, once the report is submitted, you know, we'll take responsibility where responsibilities are due, and then we'll prosecute those who may be indicted by such a report.
Let's talk about a build-up or roles played in all of this. There's a tape that was recently put out on social media, allegedly, purportedly the voice of the governor of Rivers State saying some things. What's your reaction to that? Well,
we don't want to even give any further reaction to this, you know, teenage technological pranks. You know, I issued a statement on behalf of government, you know, when that audio impersonation happened. That wasn't the voice of the governor. If you go to South Korea or you go to Japan, you know, there is this very simple technology that's used by teenagers, you know, to prank each other, you know, mimicking the voice of someone else, used mainly for pranks. To think that, you know, the APC and their media allies will use such cheap technology to try to blackmail a sitting government, you know, it's not something we even want to dignify with any further response. You know, we understand a panel has been set up by the IG to investigate this. We will not be part of this. It's just childish. We don't want to
be part of the panel.
We won't. We have no confidence in that panel. I will not participate in it. Look, Inyota, we were not elected. The governor was not elected to get involved in this kind of nonsense. You know, our own focus is to deliver service to our people. We will not be distracted by this kind of antics by the APC and their media supporters, which is why, you know, everywhere we go, our intention is to deliver service to our people. For instance, in the past 18 months or so that the government has been in office, we've delivered over 200 internal roads, bridges, and highways. Just 3 weeks ago, we flagged off 13 general hospitals, you know, total reconstruction and in some cases rebuilding of 13 general hospitals. We continue to re-industrialize the state through the provision of critical infrastructure. We are putting disproportionate attention now on education. How do we, you know, extend the frontiers of ICT? How can we make sure that every school has an ICT center so that by the press of a button, our kids are able to have access to e-learning centers all around the world? This is the focus of the administration. We are not interested in this kind of childish, endless, you know, juvenile politics that we tend to see all the time.
Malbert?